Hey, what's up, everybody? It's DJ Modi here coming to you from What Say Radio. Appreciate y'all always tuning in, locking it in with me right here. And in this story, we're going to cover Gene Hackman, actor Gene Hackman. You may know him from Superman, played the evil villain in Superman. He was also in Mississippi Burning, as well as a lot of other Crimson Tide. Let's see, what else was he in? Just a lot of movies. He passed away at 95 years old today. But there's some controversy surrounding the story as his wife was also found dead. His 63-year-old wife, and I think her name is Betsy Arakawa. Sorry if I pronounce her name wrong. Again, it's Betsy Arakawa. That's his wife, 63 years old. She passed away. They found also uh, dead along with those two were the dog. And so when I heard this story initially this morning, Gene Hackman, 95 years old, understandable, but his wife with him, 63 years old, and the dog in the house. And for details to come out later in the day today that not only were they found today, but their bodies were almost mummified or decomposed. So they had been in the house, passed away for, a week or two, if not longer. So there's a lot of unknown answers that need to be um, come forth on this story. So I just wanted to bring to you the news if you hadn't heard that again, Gene Hackman, actor, 95 years old, passed away along with his wife and his dog. And here's a little bit more on the story. Check it out.
Actor Gene Hackman's life coming to a shocking end inside his New Mexico home. Hackman and his wife found dead by maintenance workers, and the circumstances around their death is now being called suspicious. Police say Hackman and his wife could have been dead for weeks. Let's bring in Joseph Scott Morgan, former forensic death investigator. Please do share with us your thoughts as you've been able to give some time to what we know so far.
Well, as you guys mentioned, one of the problems is that this information is coming out is rather convoluted at this point in time, and not to mention, it's Thursday. They were discovered on Wednesday, and we're now just kind of figuring things out and hearing these bits of information that are coming out. The most important thing, I believe, at this point in time, is to see what the state medical examiner has to say. We've heard about pills being scattered about, and pills being scattered about, and pills being ingested are completely different. I'm kind of interested in the space heater that has been tipped over. And with the medical examiner's help, one of the things that will take place is that they will conduct a test that's referred to as a carboxyhemoglobin level, and not just on Mr. Hackman and his wife, but also, I would imagine, somebody involved in veterinary medicine will also attend to this dog as well to see if there is any carbon monoxide in their system, regardless of what the fire department says about what was there, what wasn't there. Now, my understanding is, per your last guess that you had, there was maybe evidence of forced entry. Now, that's troubling. We don't know what the source of that was. Was it EMTs or the police trying to get access? Because, it was the finder was actually somebody that peered through the window. Did they not have access to that? So when you get into the house, you want to know, is there any sign at all of any kind of struggle that took place there? And of course, observations of the body. But, as we know, one of the things that's been saying, as ghastly as it is that they're talking about signs of decomposition, and not just decomposition, but mummification, which takes a bit longer than standard decomposition.
All right, to your point there, just reading through the affidavit here, one of the deputies was named Thomas. Deputy Thomas indicated he did not observe any indication the residence had been rummaged through or items were taken from inside the residence. He advised, based on his training and experience, that nothing appeared to be out of place while clearing the residence. That would seem to eliminate any possibility of a struggle.
Yeah, of a struggle. But, Mr. Hackman, of course, was up in age. He's infirmed. It would not take much to traumatize him. So you have to examine the bodies very, very thoroughly just to make sure that they don't have any trauma, because just because there's no rummaging that goes on doesn't mean that they have not been traumatized. And the way they're saying, they keep throwing out this term, guys, about suspicion and these sorts of things. Anytime you use that term, everybody's antennae go up at that point in time. And you have to be very thorough, very painstaking in this case. They'll do full body x-rays. They'll do exhaustive external examinations before they ever do a full autopsy. And just know this: the state medical examiner's office in New Mexico is superlative. They're shining example in my field of medical legal death investigation. They have been for years. So I'm glad that their remains are now with them, and we can really get to the heart of this and find out what was going on.
I suppose, obviously time will tell. The deaths of these two individuals could have happened at completely separate times, not necessarily at the same time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons that it's really important that you take note at the scene when you have two, and we have to state again with this canine is found as well. The measurement of what we refer to as postmortem interval, that is the moment since death, and we conduct certain
Right. So there's so many factors going on. There's so many unknowns with this situation. The heater, heater that was turned over, pills that were found laying beside them. The dog passed away as well. Um, it's possible that they didn't die at the same time. There's so many scenarios, variables that are attached to this situation. And again, for the bodies to be there for, 2 weeks, if not more, decomposed. Um, it's really alarming, and it's to me it kind of smells of foul play to me. From the evidence that's been recovered so far.
measurements at the scene. It's important that they're done at the scene. But when you start to get off into this area of advancement in decomposition, and again, they're using this term mummification, we have to keep in mind as well that Santa Fe is a very arid environment, so that promotes mummification. And not to mention, we're coming out of the winter months, which is particularly dry, even more so than most of the time. So it's going to be rather complex. I beg people to be very patient with this before they jump to any conclusions, because you want all of the data to be in and you want to get this right. And that's what they're dealing with right now.
So again, you mentioned this, that despite the fact that there were no signs that there might have been carbon monoxide poisoning, you can't rule that out until you do the tests on the remains.
Correct.
But this idea
Yes.
that the affidavit says that they both appeared to have abruptly fallen. But carbon monoxide poisoning, I don't believe would cause that. You'd get tired, you'd probably lay down and go to sleep.
Yeah.
But if they died of something else, what would have killed the dog? I mean, this is puzzling.
Yeah, precisely, and that's the real head scratcher. The nature of the relationship that they had with this particular dog. If there's anything that's more sinister here, perhaps did they have a particular affection for this animal? I don't know, and nothing is off the table. Whether it be any of the five manners of death: homicide, suicide, accidental death, undetermined, or natural. Everything has to be considered. And that's why it's so very important to examine all of these remains very, very carefully. And if they did die suddenly, and they both collapse simultaneously, which is kind of interesting statement that they're making there. There has to be a causative element. There is a huge age gap between Mr. Hackman and Mrs. Hackman. And so I don't know what her level of disease was, perhaps.
Try a 30-year age gap. 30 years. He's 95, she's 63 years old.
Heart problems, anything like that. Was it a stroke? I can't imagine two people having simultaneous strokes. And then to boot, the dog passes away as well. That's why we have to be very, very careful moving forward with this case.
Yeah, and you have to start to ask yourself as well, if there was a time difference in death, was she the caregiver primarily to both of them? And if she had passed, leaving them without that care, that could be a different situation as well.
That's a great
We'll
point.
see when we get more details about all of this, but it is a mystery, that is for sure still. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it
much,
is.
sir.
That is a great point
Yes,
that
ma'am.
she raised there at the end. Yeah, what if the wife was the caregiver? Again, Gene Hackman was 95 years old, and the last picture I seen of him last year, him and his wife, they were out and about, and somebody had got a picture of them, and they hadn't been pictured in a while. And he didn't look too well. I think he was walking with a cane and looked like he could barely walk. So yeah, that's a possibility as well. Maybe she passed away first, and he couldn't care for himself and the dog, and uh, they ended up passing away as well. So, that's a possibility. But um, again, there's a lot of uh, circumstances that don't seem to be adding up in the situation, and hopefully the investigation they get it right and find out what actually happened. Hopefully it wasn't foul play or anything like that, and it was natural causes for whatever reason. But we'll see. We'll see in the days to come. Again, Gene Hackman, actor. I think he won 2 Oscars. I know him well from the Superman playing Lex Luthor, the villain in Superman, and yes, rest in peace to him and his wife. And we'll keep him lifted up. We'll keep his family and friends, loved ones, his fans lifted up in prayer during this time. Um, Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. What was your favorite Gene Hackman movie, if you had one? Um, Post it in the comments. So, like, subscribe, share the channel. Appreciate y'all always tuning in with me, DJ Mo D, right here on What You Say Radio. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace. I'm out. What you say?